von mir und Port Royale 4. Ja, ich habe durch Calypso Media einen vorab Private Beta Zugang gekriegt und ich freue mich jetzt für euch das Spiel zu streamen. Muss jetzt euch kurz die letzten paar Sachen einstellen, dann sollte alles in Ordnung sein, dass ich streamen kann. Ich habe jetzt auch schon wieder ein paar Tage nicht gestreamt, ich weiß. Ein paar Tage sind gut. Mein Account, das ist offen. Muss ich hier verbinden schnell. So, dann würde ich was sagen. Wir fangen mit dem Tutorial an. Grundlagen der Bedienung. Let's go. Und ich bin hyped. Ruhe.
Ahoy, landlubber! You're volunteering to come aboard? Usually we have to fill them with rum, drag them aboard, and ship them off before they sober up again. All right. My name's Sam. I'm a captain here, and there may be some things I could teach you.
Okay, einen Augenblick schon. Ich finde es so geil, wie die Spieleserie ihrer Musik treu bleibt. Verarsch mich doch nicht, Mann. Hier. Gut, sollte gehen, sollte euch gehen. Nice. Auch wir landen, willst freiwillig an Bord, normalerweise müssen die Leute mit Rum auffüllen. Okay.
The most important thing is to know where you're sailing to. Climb into the lookout.
Ich muss zuerst die Grafik anpassen. Holy fuck, ich hätte nicht gedacht, dass das Spiel so sieht. Grafikdetails, Reflexion normal, Reflexion normal.
Take the telescope and look around. You can also look around in all directions. To know exactly where you are, of course, you need a good naval chart. Here in the area, there are 60 towns. Spanish, English, French, and these money bags from the Netherlands. And of course, pirates from all over the world.
Okay.
I'm sure you'll recognize one or the other convoy. For example, these could be merchants or military convoys. The only way to find out exactly is to get close enough with one of your own convoys, which is not always a good idea. Check out Port Royale, your hometown during this exercise. This is the town on the island in the middle of the Caribbean. Your convoy is in the port of the town. Select it. No vessels, no trade. It's as simple as that. Such a convoy consists of up to 10 ships. But for you, one is fine for now.
Okay.
Until you can hire sailors and a real good captain, you'll have to show that you can handle yourself.
Okay.
Take a look at the different parts of the convoy. We're not
captains.
sailing around here for fun. It's about trade between the towns, and commodities and gold.
Weiter.
Select the town Port Royale to open up the town dialogue. But select the whole town, not a single building. So don't zoom in too far. A town is nothing without its inhabitants. These consist of workers and their families. The workers toil in the businesses and on farms and produce the commodities.
Yeah.
The fine gentlemen like to come up with an attitude, but it is very important that the inhabitants are satisfied, because otherwise they simply run away. The supply of commodities plays the biggest part for satisfaction. Now select the production tab. Sure, every town also produces its own commodities, up to 7 different ones. But people want more, and that's where trade comes into play, and your convoy. it brings the people what they cannot produce themselves.
Right.
Now select the trade between town and
Danke.
convoy tab.
Okay, Getreide,
Everything
Obst,
that people
Holz,
want
Mais.
can be found on the market.
Gemüse
maybe
ist
not.
neu, Bier
And
ist
then they
neu.
get dissatisfied. Each item also displays production,
Yeah,
consumption, and the current price. The better the demand of a commodity is covered for the next weeks, the lower the price. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So commodities produced in a town are usually quite cheap.
Okay, alles klar soweit.
Now select grain and buy 20 barrels.
Da willst du mir... du musst gesehen haben, zwei... Das war welches Jahr nochmals? Two... Gut, wie viel muss ich kaufen? 20. Holy.
While the grain is being loaded into your convoy, let's see where the shortage is. There you can then sell the commodities with profit and make people happy at the same time.
Gut, danke.
Now close the town dialogue. If you zoom out of the map far enough, you will see more towns northeast of Port Royale. Move the cursor over these towns to see the commodities they produce. Tortuga looks good. Send your convoys there. Make sure the whole town lights up when you send a convoy there. After all, he's supposed to dock in the harbor and not drift around outside the town.
So, jetzt mal dann später schauen. Okay, es war schon, wenn man jetzt schon die Spielgeschwindigkeit anpassen könnte. Geht das irgendwo? Dialog passieren. GeForce. Nö. Okay, das ging jetzt lang genug, bis ich hier hingekommen bin.
Arrived in Tortuga. No evening without beer, rum, and brawls. And no trading without permission. So open the town dialogue and get a trading license first.
Handelslizenz 10.000 Euro.
Now open the trade tab again and sell all of your grain to the town. Great! You still have to get used to all the commodities and prices, but through trade you can earn the most money. For this, I offer a special course about the Caribbean economy. And there is also a lesson about creating automatic trade routes. By the way, in Port Royale, they need wood. Buy 50 units and return to Port Royale. There is work to be done at the shipyard. Until the convoy reaches Port Royale, a tip from me. Convoys cost money, maintenance, and repairs. Avoid empty trips and load your vessels as much as possible.
Close to beta, work in progress version, yes.
Port Royale! The smell of seaweed, old fish, and hope for prosperity. Zoom in on the town until you see the shipyard and select it. Convoys that are on the road a lot, the shells have to be scraped off regularly. And that's what the shipyard is for. But you can also get a new barge here if you need more cargo space.
Okay.
Buy a new vessel and get out of here for now. Your vessel is still in the shipyard and you can't even see it. You have to add it to a convoy first or convert it into a new one. We do that at the lighthouse. Select it. On the left you can see the selected convoy and your unused vessels on the right.
Wow, das Tutorial ist
By selecting
etwas...
a vessel, it switches sides. That way you can enlarge, reduce, or dissolve convoys. If no convoy is selected, you can create a new convoy with free vessels.
Danke.
Now add your new vessel to the existing convoy. Not bad for a landlubber. The basics are in place. One more thing. Whenever you come across one of these info icons, you can use it to open the appropriate pages in the manual for Caribbean merchants. Try it.
Das Tutorial ist
The
nervend,
info
wenn man das
icon
Spiel
will
schon
always
kennt.
bring
Also
you
die
to the
Vorgänger.
right place in the manual. You can also open the manual at any time and just browse through it.
Danke.
All right, you've got the basics down, I hope. But there's a lot of people out there just waiting to make a rookie like you walk the plank. So I'm recommending my other classes as well. Don't worry, they're shorter.
Ich weiß, das war's schon. Nice, okay, das ist mir schon mal gut. Okay Leute, ich werde jetzt euch kurz eine halbe Stunde, etwas mehr, durch eine halbe Stunde streamen und dann
All
bin ich
rested
noch
up
was
and
kurz eine
ready
Stunde
for the
weg.
Caribbean economy? Let's go. First, select your convoy in the harbor of Port Royale. Is that clear? Check the hold of your convoy to see what you
300
just
beer.
loaded. We'll
Nice.
need it later. A lot of beer. Beer is important. Does not make you as drunk as rum and not as sick as spoiled water. Now open the town dialogue of Port Royale. To do so, select the whole town from a greater distance, or, if the camera is close by, the town hall or undeveloped areas. Here you can see the inhabitants who live here and have to be taken care of. About 1/4 of them are workers. Some of what they produce can be traded with other towns. Below you can see which cultivation and mining commodities can be produced in the town and how efficient such a production would be. Handicrafts, such as clothing, can be produced equally well in all towns. People always ask for all commodities, and the variety of commodities affects the satisfaction. In small settlements, however, simple commodities are more important. If the town grows, the inhabitants become more demanding, and the upscale commodities becomes more important. Now switch to the production tab to see the production of the town. Each town can produce a maximum of 7 different commodities. Here you can see what is produced in Port Royale per day. This is much more than the inhabitants themselves need. The surplus can then be traded with other towns. Your businesses will be here later.
Ja.
Now switch to the Trade Between Town and Convoy tab to see the commodities on the town's market. Here you can see all commodities that are available, sorted by their importance for the inhabitants. The first column shows the fill level of a commodity. This is the ratio of supply to demand. From 2 green bars on, a commodity is no longer scarce. From 4 bars on, it is in abundance.
Ach du Scheiße, es ist ja dezent anders geworden in den letzten Jahren.
Here you can see how many commodities are in stock at the market of the town and in the selected convoy. The convoy must of course be anchored in the harbor of the same town.
Knapp schon dann, gut. So. Kann ich da schließen? Dann muss ich wann weggehen? Ich muss um 20 nach dort sein, okay.
By buying and selling, you move commodities between the town and the convoy. Here you can see what the town produces and consumes. This includes commodities that serve as raw material for other products. Compare stock and fill level. The longer the stock lasts, the more secure and satisfied the citizens feel.
Okay, next
The
is
price of a commodity changes constantly because it depends on supply and demand.
Yep.
The higher the fill level, the lower the price. For the beginning, you should remember, buy from 2 green bars, sell until 2 green bars. The last column shows the average price you paid for a commodity. Of course, you should always sell a commodity at a higher price. Take a look at the price of beer. The average price of your loaded commodities is lower than the current price in the town. People want beer, and you can give it to them. To do this, select the commodity and slowly move the amount from right to left. You can see how the stock and the fill level of the town increases and the price per unit decreases. Now sell your beer supply to the town and close the town dialogue.
Ich muss alles verkaufen, okay.
Very nice. Now show what you have learned. There's an abundance of grain in Port Royale right now. Buy at least 100 barrels. The commodities are on board. Now you need a destination. I recommend Port-au-Prince, east of Port Royale. Set up your convoy there. Open the town dialogue and get a trade license. Then you sell the grain to the town.
Okay, an die Gewöhnung mit der WASD für das Spiel ist ungewohnt, nicht? Handsitzens zuerst kaufen.
Excellent. That was my Caribbean economy crash course. It's really very simple. Buy cheap and sell dear. And don't waste all the profits on drinks. You should now understand what the price of commodities depends on. In the beginning, you do the trading yourself. Later, you set up trade routes and leave the trading to your convoys. Of course, always to your specifications.
Gern geht weiter. Charles, die kann ich durchrushen und dann schauen, ob es eigentlich eine Kampagne oder so
You
gibt.
want to
Sonst
sail
mache ich ein
comfortably
Freispiel.
over the sea and enjoy the wind and waves? Then you're in the wrong place. I want to teach you how to organize your convoys so that they yield more profit for you. And we'll start right away. Choose.
Tut mir, dass ich gerade immer wieder unterbrechen muss. Wieso muss ich immer versuchen, das nicht selbst nachjubeln? So, ich würde jetzt gerne noch die letzten paar Minuten streamen, bis ich wieder
Your
weg muss.
convoy that anchors at Port Royale. You already know the different areas of a convoy. Select the area vessels.
Ja?
Here, you can see the vessels of your convoy. It's important that you understand the difference between a vessel and a convoy, even if the convoy consists of only one vessel. Suppose you buy a vessel in the shipyard. Then it will stay there until it belongs to a convoy. Only then it gets a crew and is put into the harbor. From that moment on, you can fill the vessel with commodities and put it to sea. Free vessels are something like dead capital. They are not operational, but they don't generate any costs. Two buildings in the town are important when it comes to vessels: the shipyard and the lighthouse. Let's first have a look at the shipyard in Port Royale. Select it to enter it. You have to zoom in close enough to the town, otherwise you won't be able to select individual buildings. In the shipyard, you can repair, buy, and sell vessels. As you can see, the vessel in your convoy could use a little overhaul. Get it done. Great. While the repairs are being carried out, we look at the vessels the shipyard is currently offering for sale. To do so, select the next area in the shipyard. Larger shipyards sometimes offer used vessels for sale. These can come from bankrupt merchants, for example. This is a good opportunity for you to get a new vessel quickly and easily. Just buy the two vessels on offer. This military frigate needs command points. This applies to all vessels with cannons. They can only be included in convoys that have a captain, and people trained in this field do not grow on trees.
Okay.
For the really big vessels, you have to prove that you are loyal to your nation and accumulate fame, here represented by fame points. Your fame increases when you do things that our dear Viceroy particularly likes. More on this later, in another lesson. Now look at the other parts of the shipyard. You can sell vessels which you don't need anymore, and order the construction of vessels. However, this always takes a while, and there must be enough building material available at the town's market before the shipyard can start the construction. To build new convoys or add new vessels to a convoy now, you need the lighthouse. Now close the shipyard and open the lighthouse of Port Royale. On the left side, your selected convoy is displayed. On the right side, you can see your free vessels, which are docked in the harbor. Just select a vessel to move it between the port and the convoy. If you have not selected a convoy that is anchored in the harbor, a new convoy will be displayed on the left side, which you can create with your vessels. Now close the lighthouse again. We have just talked about captains. Choose the Captain's tab in your convoy. A convoy is ready to go even without a captain, but a captain improves many characteristics and allows to carry armed vessels. Unfortunately, such captains are hard to find, and for each, you need a captain's license. You can get a captain's license from your Viceroy, but more about this in a later lesson. If a captain applies to you, this will be displayed here. Now open the Captain's Dialogue. Here you can see which captains are working for you, or who is applying as a captain. Every captain has other skills that will improve with time. Take a look at everything and then hire the captain. A captain doesn't work for free, so don't forget to assign him to a convoy after you hire him. Otherwise, you'll pay for doing nothing. Now assign the captain to your convoy. Very good. With the help of their command points, captains can lead armed vessels. The higher the level of a captain, the more command points he can use. And that concludes this lesson about vessels and convoys. See you soon!
Gut, weiter raus. Nächstes abgeschlossen.
Thank you for participating in this lesson on trade routes. It could also be called 10 Ways to Screw Up Others' Businesses. I'll teach you how to massively increase your trade volume. Now, select your convoy, which is anchored off Cartagena, and select the Trade Route tab. As long as you only have a convoy, you can of course act on your own, buying, transporting, selling commodities. But with more convoys, it gets out of hand. You have to learn to give orders to your convoys so that they are sailing for you automatically. For that, you need the trade routes.
Links.
Now, click on the Trade Routes button to open the dialog, and then select Create New Route. Here, you create new trade routes and assign them to your convoys. A new route does not yet contain any towns, so you will have to edit it first. This is the navigation map. It shows you wind direction and wind force everywhere. With tailwind, a convoy will naturally drive much faster, and time is money. The red areas are sometimes hit by storms. This increases the risk that your convoy will be damaged. That's what areas with a dull wind look like. Here, convoys move very slowly. Therefore, such areas are usually avoided. The colored areas near coasts indicate shallow waters and reefs. Convoys with greater draft have to be very careful here, and therefore do not make rapid progress. Convoys consisting only of vessels with little draft have no problems here. Now look up to the left. There you will see the towns where you have acquired a trading license. You will also see what each town is producing at the moment. Set up a trade route with these 4 towns. Simply select the towns in this order: Cartagena, Portobello, Bluefields, Puerto Cabezas. As you can see, all the towns will appear in the list, and even the exact course of the route will be shown. However, this route is not very convenient. The convoy would have to sail frequently against the wind, and would make only slow progress. The first thing you should do is to change the order of the towns. To change the position of a town in the list, you can select and move it.
Wie geht das? Ah, lol. Ich bin euch dumm. Besser ist Cartagena. Puerto. Okay.
You see, the course of the route is already much more consistent with the wind directions. But you can optimize the route even more, because it runs through an area with little wind. Select the route at the marked position and move it up to the other marker outside the calm. And see how this reduces the duration of the trip. You can certainly improve the route in other places to take better account of the wind, avoid potential storms, or avoid shallow water and cliffs. Feel free to experiment. Then select the town of Cartagena in the list to set the commands for that town. Of course, your people need to know what to buy, what to sell, and what to keep their hands off. So you give them guidelines, which they then follow. Don't worry, it sounds more complicated than it is. The commodities produced in a town are often in abundance. That makes them cheap, and you can sell them in other towns at a profit. Search for cotton and give the order to buy. Your people will then buy cotton as long as it can be sold on the route and the purchase price is low enough. But your people are not stupid. If there are no sell orders for a commodity, if there is no demand, or if the purchase price is too high, they will not buy it.
Okay.
If you actually have to deliver a commodity somewhere, even though it is very scarce and expensive, you can deactivate this automatic pricing and give your people a maximum purchase price. But for the beginning, you shouldn't even think about such things. Find 2 more commodities in Cartagena that you want to buy, and switch to the town Puerto Cabezas when you're ready. Puerto Cabezas can certainly use the commodities you want your people to buy in Cartagena, so set these commodities to sell. By the way, if you select a commodity, the list of towns will show you where it is bought or sold. Of course, you can also set further preferences for priority, quantity, and price when selling, but it is not important at first. If you want to know what this is for at a later time, just have a look at my tips and tricks. So, an easy route is now available. If you want, You can, of course, make further settings for the other towns. Feel free to have a look around. When you're ready, close the edit mode for the route again. You will now be shown all kinds of information about the route, but since the route is new, most of the values are 0, and as long as no convoy uses this route, nothing will change. You should therefore assign it to your selected convoy. And now you only have to give your convoy the command to follow the route. Very good. If you now close the route dialog, you can see how your convoy sets sail and executes your commands. In the port of Cartagena, there are now 2 more convoys ready for you. Up here, you can see how many of your convoys are not on a trade route right now. You can select such a convoy either directly in the world or by switching through. Please switch to a free convoy now. Now send this convoy to the route you just created. Open the route mode again, and now select again the option Assign Route and activate the route on the convoy. Great! You see, a route can have several convoys. This is especially useful if the route is very long or a lot of commodities have to be transported. Your current route is short, and the quantity is still small, but that can change once the towns start growing.
Okay.
You can, of course, change, extend, and optimize a route at any time. The affected convoys will implement these changes immediately. Finally, one more thing. The trade route dialog shows you the data of your different routes. You can also view the balances of individual convoys. Take a look at convoys and towns. Among other things, all your convoys and vessels are displayed here. You can also view the balances of your convoys, which are currently on tour with a trade route. So you can quickly see if a convoy is currently making gains or losses. This lesson is now also completed. You have now learned the most important things about trade routes. By the way, if you later have your own warehouses in towns, they can also be used and filled by trade routes. More about this in my course about production.
Okay, danke. Dann beginnen wir ins Hauptmenü zurück. Kurz Überblick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Gut. Da ich eh schon weiß, dass ich jetzt aktuell gar keine Zeit mehr habe und jetzt eh noch kurze Zeit lang weg muss, bedanke ich mich jetzt für den Stream bis jetzt und so etwa in einer Stunde, Stunde 10 Minuten soll der nächste Stream online gehen.